That's what they all say. Oh my gosh.
What was that?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Tonight, live, Dennis, Michael, Titan Reloading. Yes,
Hi.
that Titan Reloading. Suckers, be jealous. So, we're going to start off like we usually do, just thanking Patriot Patch Company for being the bandwidth sponsor and thanking Firearms. How do I mute my phone? There we go. Oops. Not used to having my phone on, so. Sorry about that, gang. At any rate, now that we've had some fun echo, I want to, as I was saying, thank Sean and the gang over at Firearms Radio Network for really giving us a place to hang out every week. Wanted to start off with Phil. What'd you do in reloading and firearms this week?
You mean other than trying to make gun money? Nothing.
Making gun money counts.
Okay.
From Jason. And we told Jim for 5 years.
Jesus, you're brutal.
Somebody's got to be. All right. Jason, how about you?
I did nothing except for make gun money.
Aha. Jim.
The only thing I did was write notes for these guys to steal. That's exactly what I put in my my comment, my portion for what did I do. And my wife is tormenting my hair and she shaking my microphone. Anyway, that's exactly what I did this week is I made gun money, but I made the mistake of putting it in my notes for these guys to plagiarize. Yeah, Phil. You too, Jason, you bum.
Now, that is quite a hefty charge, sir. It couldn't just be the brilliant minds think alike?
Yeah, in other words, hey, if Jim put it up there, I'll steal it too.
Well, no, I was thinking the last thing you're going to do is call me a fool after I've just compared the two of us, so we're both going down with that ship. Make your move.
Anyway, what'd you do this week, Mike?
I played around with my 366 a little bit and also did some organizing, trying to find a spot on my bench to put that second press so that I can get through all that 556 brass that needs to be swaged.
What is the 366?
That is my fancy dancy Hornaday. Well, actually, this one's a Pacific. Shot shell progressive.
Oh.
So that's the one that everybody sees behind me normally. They'll see the powder tube and the shot tube sticking up.
Yeah.
The hat rack for a little while. Kind of like your hat rack behind you.
Yeah, it's a hall tree that you see. Anyway, so who we got in the background there, Michael? I mean, Mike.
Well, Michael is in the background.
Yes.
Right here. And if we're going to go over what I've done this week for reloading, a couple of projects, trying out the Acme 124 grain 9mm. Shot those with tight group. Pretty good, I would say, from my self-shooting pistol, which not so great. And then I also made the switch from CCI BR2 primers over to Federal 210Ms. And like them. Pretty good primers.
Match primer.
Well, I managed to prep 556 cases. I'm getting ready to reload. So.
Awesome. So, as I said, we're here at Titan Reloading. I've been talking about Titan for quite a few years, and we've been trying to set this up for a bit. Originally, when we were looking at it, it was when they were in their old place, and we decided it'd be better to wait till the new place, and then we kind of all got busy, but now we're finally here. And in a couple minutes here, I'm going to do a walk around the sales floor. So, but first, Dennis, how'd you get into reloading?
Well, I had reloaded off and on with a buddy of mine. He had equipment, and due to family and home and everything else, I couldn't invest in my own. So I did reload. But then when my wife, who was working at a major trucking company, that company merged with another company, and they decided to move down to Cudahy with their terminal, which would be 4 hours of driving a day.
Right.
We said we're not going to do that. So she took a smaller trucking job, but we started an eBay store.
Oh, okay.
And we were bouncing around everywhere trying to find stuff for an eBay store, auctions, this and that. And it was kind of fun. But then my day job, I worked for Worth Tool and Die in Landon, Wisconsin. I was an engineer in the tool and die industry, designing plastic and injection molds for die cast and plastic. And John Lee came and knocked on our door one day. He needed somebody to design up a solid model of the Breechlock Challenger press. So when I got that, it was a little more than a sketch on a napkin, but they needed a solid model to go into the machining process. So I did that for them. They liked the model so much and how quick we got it to them. We ended up building the mold, and that baby's still running out in Allenton, Wisconsin today. That was 9 years ago. So it was a good tool,
Yeah.
good product. But when I got started getting involved with the engineers over there, going back and forth liaisoning, because we did other projects as well. And all of a sudden it dawned on me one morning. I got up, cup of coffee, and this Lee Precision stuff would really sell good on eBay. So my wife and I went down and talked with John, and he turned around and handed us the brochures of what it would take for us to get started. And it's kind of been history ever since. We built the business out of our house. We were working there at first. 2012, we rented a small unit in a strip mall, and that's where I first met you.
Yep.
But then in 2016, we decided to spring on this building here. We needed more room. We didn't have enough room where we were at. And we've just never looked back. We're a family business. This is my son, Michael. I have a daughter, Jamie. And like I said, my wife, Robin. And we also have my daughter, Stephanie, who works full time. So keeps us all going. This is the future of Titan Reloading right there. I'm getting 65 now on Medicare. I'm going to start sliding out of the picture here. I'm going to start reloading instead of rerunning a reloading business. Let's put it that way.
Instead of answering emails, actually pulling the lever.
But anyway, in 2009, we started that eBay store. And then John Lee said to me right away, Dennis, eBay's fine. He says, but a website would do much better. So that's where my wife and I spent the next year and a half. Our yard went totally to hell, but we were working on this website downstairs. And on August 19th, 2010, we went live with that. We never really looked back. We're selling this stuff all over the world.
Yeah.
We started off with Lee Precision, but we found that we needed to expand. So then we took on MEC, which is out in Mayville, not very far away.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent shot shell reloaders, excellent company to do business with. Then we added Redding, and we finally went to the Blue Press. So we're getting pretty neck deep in Dillon's now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
I do have a question, if you don't mind.
sure.
Yeah, I've noticed you say the gentleman's name you started working with that worked for Lee is John Lee, not
John
as
Lee,
opposed
that's
to
the
Richard Lee. As opposed to Richard Lee, didn't he actually start Lee Precision?
Yes, he did. I believe it was back in 1954. He started the company, and but John Lee is his son.
Thank you.
Since then, John now has his daughter Stephanie and his son Andy very much involved in the business over there too. So that's kind of like a family business as well. Very good company to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that small clarification.
Richard just died here recently, by the way. I don't know if you saw the obituaries on that or not. But
I did not.
yeah, that was
about a year
No,
ago.
I had no idea.
yeah. But he was getting up there in age, and he really wasn't very active anymore in reloading, because there's the guy that had all the ideas initially.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, the reloading world took a hell of a blow when he passed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to look back at the. I've had a couple of people that have sent me some. I've got a copy of the original manual, but then I've had some people that have sent me some of their little books they used to send out, the product books, and it's interesting to see some of the stuff that the designs have changed, and then some of it that haven't.
Uh-huh.
So it's cool to see that, like the load-all. Basically, the only thing that's changed with that is what they're making it out of.
And those things last forever.
Oh yeah,
They really do. It's a nice little machine. It couldn't be simpler.
Mm-hmm. And really inexpensive when
Yeah.
you compare it to other shotgun reloaders. The only complaint is that they don't make it in 410. Only
Yeah.
complaint.
My history with Lee Precision, the engineer's perspective on our website is where I kind of lay all that out. But when I first got involved with the liaison back and forth, because we got involved in other projects after that initial press.
Yeah.
And I got more and more involved in just the engineering of what was going on there. And I saw what they were doing and what they were doing it with. And they really impressed me. I was very, very impressed.
yeah, it's especially just the plant here is the one I've toured, and
Yep.
it's just amazing to see everything that they've got stuffed into that little building.
Well, to make a long story
Surprised
short,
you,
I
yeah.
finally have reloading equipment of my own now.
Yeah,
So
Right.
I'm not going to my buddy's house anymore.
exactly. So, Michael,
Oh, me.
How about
you? So I started reloading shortly after starting to work here.
Yep.
Well, I not a whole lot of shooting throughout high school and stuff like that. And then right after high school, I went to the Marine Corps for 4 years. Don't reload in the Marine Corps.
Nope.
They don't even know. Yeah. They got very strict rules on stuff like that over there. So I got out of the Marine Corps, and it was 2011, and it didn't take very long for Titan Reloading to get busy enough,
Mhm.
especially with all the gun control regulation they were pushing after the Sandy Hook, that they were looking for a lot of help.
Yeah.
So started working here, and it was one of those things like, if I'm going to work with the reloading equipment, if I'm going to talk to anybody on the phone about reloading equipment, I have to start using this stuff and using as much of it as I can, learning about it as much of it as I can, as quickly as I can, so I can help guys over the phone or over email and stuff like that. And after I started reloading, it was one of those things where it was like, yeah, well, this is really cool. Now let me try this other stuff over here. Let me use these dies. Let me use this press. Let me use all these different products, just so that if anybody has any questions about it, I can be ready to answer it. And I definitely think that's one of the biggest advantages to running a store that also coincides with something you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Is that when somebody has a question like, hey, what press should I get? And be like, I got info for you if you're willing to listen.
Mhm.
Well, he was on leave one day before your last deployment,
Mm.
and we were talking about the business and everything. He looked at me and he said, Dad, he said, this is all fine and good, but if you don't start selling bullets and brass and stuff, once they buy the presses, they're not going to need you anymore. So as soon as he got out of the Marine Corps, that's what we turned over to Michael, and he took off on that, and he's been doing that hell of a good job with the sourcing we have and everything else to
Mhm.
keep us off the snuff. Make a long story short, it'd be easier to replace me at this point than it would be to replace him. Which is good. I'm on 65.
I
I'm
think you
fading
planned
out.
it that way.
Yeah,
You kind of planned it that way,
I
didn't
sure
you?
did.
Well done. So one of the guys in the chat wants to know, what bullet suppliers do you all carry?
As far as RAND goes, most of the bullets we have are going to be Hornady for rifle. We do get Acme, which they have their the lead cast loop bullets, and then they also have the polymer coated.
Mhm.
Big fan of the polymer coated bullets for pistol, absolutely. We have Acura Outdoors as a copper plated bullet.
Okay.
So fair selection of that. That's the majority of it. We do have some Sierra, we do have some Spear, but they don't make up nearly the amount as Hornady does for rifle.
Yeah.
So
Out of curiosity, any one particular bullet, bullet diameter or particular bullet that y'all are selling more than everything else?
well, for the longest time, it was easily the Hornady 22 cal 55 grain full metal jacket. Easily. It
Yep.
would be
Got about 3,000 of them sitting in my garage.
versus maybe at the closest to that would be a few hundred of a different bullet type. Those haven't been quite as popular, but I imagine that'll probably change once it starts getting closer to that busy season again.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a second place to that, jeez, I don't even think I could think of one, to be honest. I know that, well, the Acme 115s and 124s are really popular in store. but that's about it that I can think of.
Well, that was what I was going to suggest you do, segregated by handgun versus rifle bullet, which
Oh,
you
yeah.
just did.
Pistol, the 115 Acme polymer coated, they definitely take the crown as far as the most popular. But the 124s are pretty good too. And actually, after this last week of shooting the 124s, like I was talking about before, I'm going to make the switch. I shot the 124s way better than I shoot the 115s.
Oh,
It might have just been the fact that I was on the range with a couple of other older guys. So it was like, okay, I can't shoot like a madman like I have a tendency to do without noticing. Ask my dad when I get the 357 out on the range. Jeez. Go through ammo on that thing real quick.
Yes, sir.
Can't imagine why.
It's a really fun gun to shoot. I mean,
You bet.
yep. And that's my claim to fame with the 357 because my father has a 44 Magnum, but the difference in cost to reload and the difference in recoil,
Yeah.
I mean, I can shoot pretty hot 357 all day long, and it's not going to beat me up that bad. But I'm a recoil junkie. But there's a point at which 44 Magnum stops being as much fun.
There's a fine line between fun and punishment.
I always wondered about that. Clint Eastwood shooting it with one hand.
You know, I
Around
tried.
corners.
I tried that with my dad's Super Red Hawk. I'm glad I had the other hand close by though.
I can only imagine hearing all the. I mean, there's guys that come in the store and obviously they're shooting much bigger 454, 460 Smith and Wesson stuff like that. And man, the horror stories you hear. Never let a guy borrow your 460. Never. They're gonna send that thing up into the ceiling. It's just.
We have a 500 Smith & Wesson junkie in the group today.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it, Mr. Grump.
Tall, dark, and silent right there.
It goes bang, and it has some recoil.
Riveting, Jason. Just riveting.
Yeah. Hold back a little bit. You don't want to come on too strong.
Just like Jason, nice and terse.
The guy that does our editing has a 2-inch 454 Casull.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Got
yeah.
no help with the recoil on that thing.
No,
No help.
no.
No,
He loves it.
You don't aim that so much as you hold on for dear life.
You
Right.
hit much with it.
Well, it's a bear gun, actually.
Yes.
It was designed to be a bear gun, grizzly bear gun.
Yeah.
That's when you're right up in the
Right,
gut
yeah,
and
right.
you let it go.
Yeah,
Well,
That's
pretty
a last
much.
resort gun.
what you do is you let the bear chew on your leg a little bit so that it's close enough.
You lure him in with some of that fresh meat. There you
Mm.
go.
Oh yeah. All right, gang. Let's dial this up here.
We got a question in the chat asking if they sell lead shot in bulk.
They do not.
They do not. They do not.
All right.
I think he's getting ready to take the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that amazing speaker. And the echo. So now,
Follow him. In case he has a question.
I can tell this part wasn't rehearsed. Someone's gonna have to let Mike know that his mobile camera is muted.
It is now unmuted.
There we go.
So, no, I had to keep it muted till I got far enough away so it didn't echo. So this is the view you get when you walk into Titan. One of the coolest things when you walk in,
Forgive me, Mike, but would you do us a favor? Slow down a little bit with the motion of the camera. You're making it really hard to follow.
okay, sorry. So one of the coolest things about Titan, and the coolest thing that I thought when I got over to this location, you walk in and Dennis's bench is right here. And then you've got Stephanie Shutshell Press.
Wait a second.
Dylan
Let's go
650.
back to Dennis. Let's go back to Dennis's bench. That's the bench he actually reloads his ammo on?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's right as you walk in the door.
Well, we know where you're going to spend the next 10 years, Dennis.
Says he's leaving, but that won't be so soon.
So, got a couple different presses set up here. One of the coolest things about Titan that you see online is what he makes with those two.
What was those machines look like spools? Had spools on it right there.
Those 3D printers. Hang on just a second.
Oh.
There. Okay. I had to get rid of that echo. So, sorry, my brain still wants to twist the camera the other direction. So these are a couple of the 3D printers he's got. And then over here is some of the fun stuff he makes. So Dennis, do you want to explain about a couple of those things?
I recognize the base to the press anywhere. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One very popular is the powder baffle. It's got 3 flow holes. Supports your weight like a baffle would do, but it keeps it uniform weight down underneath. Crank and moves out warm. There's your Pro 1000 base. This part here slips right inside and eliminates the problem of having your primers building up in the base of the.
Oh,
They drop down through naturally the hose is longer,
right.
but you collect it in there. You don't ever have to pull the press base off again.
Nice.
And then Lee went and designed a new one. So this is the micro charge. We used to call it the micro disc, but they crashed their mold. And they didn't think it was worth repairing for $30,000 for the sales.
Yeah.
So I'm making them now. This is just a tube harness to hold your case feed and bullet feed tubes together. There's a little wrench for the auto drum powder measure. Some guys got small fingers and it's hard, so.
Yep.
These are primer deflectors for the turret presses and the Pro 1000 to keep them off the floor.
Yep.
And there's a die wrench. And this is the adjustment knob for a Dillon powder measure.
And it works fabulously. So we've got display cases with all sorts of different fun stuff. We've got casting supplies over here, along with some of your extra turret supplies to fancy your handle. And it just kind of want to give you all a tour. So you guys, when you're ordering online, you kind of know what the store looks like. So as kind of walk through, I'm trying to go slow. And unfortunately, for now, this is Michael's reloading corner. He gets stuff back in the corner. See, Stephanie gets right up by the door, and Michael's back in the corner. I don't know. But then they've got a bunch of mech presses. Look at all that space right there. Yeah. So, but just awesome sales floor, a lot of stuff packed into small areas. And the thing that I appreciate best, everything's out of the box. So, I mean, your scales are out. They carry a bunch of MTM stuff as well. But, I mean, it's all out of the box. You can actually look at it. And you can see. couple of things aren't because I just got them in. So they're just starting to get into the Hornady and the Lab Radar. But here's their Acme display with some of the bullets they carry. They've got a whole bunch more in back. And then they've got Lee presses set up. So, and then we go into the RCBS. Or, I mean Reading. Whoops. Sorry.
Oh
Robin.
my God. Oh my God.
Brain fart. Yeah, I know. Robin's never going to let me live that one down. So,
I'm not
and then
either.
Dylan stuff. Well, I wouldn't expect you guys to. And then we've got kind of their bullet and some of their brass.
Bullets.
They've got some.
Bullets.
No, those are bullets, not bullets. Bullets are over in the corner. And then some Lyman stuff, Frankfurt Arsenal. But I mean, everything is out. It's visible. You can come up and you can start playing with it and kind of get an idea of how it works. Except for the fire extinguisher. Don't play with that. But I mean, it's even in most of your reloading shops, you know, most of the ones I've gone to, you don't get that opportunity to actually go hands-on and look. Here's his tube holder. It works really well because otherwise they kind of flop and it helps when you put the funnel on. So, but I kind of wanted to give everybody a tour of what it looks like. So, and look at that. They got a couple waiting to go. Somebody order one.
Well, the XL 650s we got left over.
Yep. TitanReloading.com. Get on there, order them. And then out back is warehouse and everything else. One of the other cool things, if you're in Wisconsin, is this right here. Second Saturday of the month, 2 p.m., stop by and they'll teach you how to reload. So, and it's awesome. You know, you just hop on the website, let them know, or give them a call and let them know you're going to come. And they go through. So, all right. That is it for the nickel tour. And we're going to head back in.
Sorry if that was really jumpy, but I don't have a fancy gimbal to put it in, so. All right.
I'm envious.
You should.
That's like Toys R Us for gun nerds.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I can't mention how many times I've been talking to a customer like, well, what presses would you get for doing this, this, and this? And I'd be like, well, you don't understand that I can reload on virtually any of those presses out there. So I'm blessed in that, yeah, I'll have this, you know, the 650 set up for my 9mm, the mech in the corner for my 6.5 Creedmoor, you know, like I have the option of any of them. Pretty fortunate that way.
I think that's probably one of the great advantages you have, though, is the fact that you are familiar with the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And even if there's not a specific piece of equipment that you aren't familiar with, you know the process.
We can figure it out pretty quick. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when my old man ended up getting a Lee turret press, you know, compared to my RCBS rock chucker, when he called me over to help him set it up, we figured it out pretty quickly because, you know, there's a certain amount of reloading knowledge that transfers between equipment.
Absolutely. There's 4 steps to reloading. That doesn't seem across the board.
Don't blow your fingers off. Don't rupture your eyeballs. Follow the instructions.
Don't pinch the finger in between a die and a shell holder.
Oh, that's 5 then. I was going to include don't anger your spouse.
That's number 1.
That's for life.
Headlined in red. But anyway, go ahead, Dennis. What are the 4 steps to transfer over?
Well, I was going to say the 4 steps in reloading is the same whether you're doing shot, shell, pistol, or rifle. You have to knock the old primers out, size the case. You have to install a new primer. You have to size the neck to install the bullet, and then you got to seat it and crimp it. So seating and crimping is considered 1 step, but those are your 4 basic steps to reloading.
You got to charge it with your
Machines out
propellant
there are
too.
just different ways to go about it.
You need to charge it with your propellant too, whatever that may
That
be.
was right after the primer. I
Definitely
figured you
not
knew
at the same
that.
time.
Who's counting?
It was a
Thank
test.
you.
Just making sure you're paying attention.
Exactly.
Woo-hoo.
Well, I guess that would be our motto. Reload with confidence. What's your Titan reloading advantage? We reload. We've helped people who have never reloaded before. We've helped people who are looking to buy equipment, and we've certainly helped people after they've gotten the equipment. That's basically what we do.
Yeah, and the other thing I like to mention is that reloading, it seems like it's really complicated and difficult, but we're a couple pull locks and we reload. So it can't be that bad, right?
I mean, hell, if a coon ass like myself can figure it out without blowing up a house, it can't be that damn difficult.
You're right.
And Jim still got all his fingers after the millions of years that he's been doing it. So
Well, I've had a lot of guys say how intimidating the idea is. They'd like to do it, but they're intimidated by it.
yeah,
That's where we come in.
Mhm.
It's nothing to be worried about. Just follow the rules.
Yeah.
Always use good data.
Yeah, my favorite is to whip out a picture of my child when she was 4 running a reloading press. And I'm like, it didn't scare her. I mean, come on, come into the garage. Let's try it.
Mm.
Of course, if anything would have happened to her, her mother would have killed me, but that's a different story.
that's motivation.
Right.
Well, really and truly, within reason, there is nothing that can't happen.
No, follow directions, measure twice, cut once. I mean, the thing I tell everybody about reloading is I'm like, a little bit of common sense goes a long way, and a little bit of like healthy worry for what you're making. I mean, you're making miniature explosive devices.
You need to be apprehensive. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I know I've told the story to these guys. Y'all get a chuckle out of this, but the first rounds I ever reloaded was for 45 ACP for my Kimber, and I sunk those rounds down range with one hand on the pistol, one hand on my family jewels, and with my head turned the opposite direction from the handgun. And the range officer that was out there walked down to me and said, "First time reloading, huh?"
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, there's anybody looking at getting to reloading, there's a plethora amount of information that comes from not only the manufacturers of the equipment, but the manufacturers of the powder, the bullet manufacturers, and they'll tell you what your dimensions have to be, what your powder amount has to be, what primer to use. They really go through painstaking lengths to kind of lay it all out for you. And all you got to do is make sure that you are doing the things that they suggest that you do, and that you're paying attention throughout the reloading process to ensure it's getting done.
There's also some very good forums out there where you've got experienced reloaders who are more than willing to share their experience with different powders, bullets, you name it.
Mhm.
And you can always discern between the cowboys and the guys who know what they're talking about. If it sounds fishy, it might be.
And by the way, I'd like to invite you gentlemen to join my group on Facebook called The Reloading Room. I consider it to be the best reloading group there is on Facebook.
You're still on Facebook? We just got knocked off. We're unsubscribed now. We're unpublished.
Well, then, Troy, you could join us over on MeWe.
Yeah, MeWe is one of the alternatives that a lot of people are starting to move over to.
I've read about it.
It's
We have
pretty
to do
nice.
something. We got 49,000 followers that are wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah.
It's just not right.
Yeah, but as much as we all agree with you, we're not here to bash Facebook.
You're right. I agree.
We could do that on my show.
I'm not bashing Facebook. I'm bashing the situation we find ourselves in.
Exactly.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm very heartened by the fact that y'all teach like a weekly reloading class. I wish, for God's sake, y'all had been down here close to me when I first started, because I mean, all I had was these bunch of cowboys to try to keep me out of trouble.
Yeah,
No,
I
we're
can't
not
even
cowboys.
I know I'm poking fun, but in all honesty, I mean, I showed up in the reloading room. I think I just mounted my first press, and I was like reading the instructions that came in the die box. That's how basic a reloader bitch I was. And I showed up in the reloading room. It was like, I have no earthly idea what I'm doing. Help.
Yeah, I can't. The amount of people that I talk to over the phone, they're like, "Man, I wish you guys were closer."
Yeah.
Just because when it comes to something like reloading, it's much nicer to be able to visually see the thing in front of you. We've had people make 4 or 5 hour drives just to come to the store and take a look at the product on display. We've had people come in from Germany, Austria,
France, Russia.
Brazil.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they
Russians.
I don't. Well, usually they're in the area for something else. Like I think the Russian was in the United States for SHOT Show.
Mhm.
And the other customers, like, they'll have something going on in Chicago or Milwaukee or something that's a few hours away, and they're like, you know what, I'm close enough. I'm going to make that drive. Yeah, and it just all over people reload.
So you do ship internationally.
Sure.
What's the most common places you're shipping to?
Well, I would say Brazil
Yeah.
is one of the big ones. Russia, we have a lot of dealers in Russia. They're buying their stuff from us and selling it over there in their
Nice.
own scenarios. We have some from Australia, which is kind of a popular. UK, New
Canada,
Zealand, South
Canada,
Africa.
France.
South Africa. We
think-
got shooting clubs down there.
As far as the amount of orders goes,
Yeah.
France is probably second or third.
Nice. That's kind of
For-
surprising.
Yeah, Brazil's really popular, which that's the more surprising one, to be honest. The difficulty they have to go through to get that stuff into the country is
Import it, yeah.
But yeah, of course, France, Canada, they're right next door.
Right.
About the only thing, the reloading equipment, the molds, the dies, the presses, the service parts, most of that we can ship all over the world, and it's not regulated with the
Right.
exception of Brazil. The components, however, we cannot export.
Right.
Because the United States has
Yeah.
laws on that, which we tried doing that for a year, and
That was a nightmare.
yeah.
Hashtag ITAR sucks.
Yeah, I was about to ask about Felon or ITAR.
Yeah. So what's next
Well,
other than you retiring?
sure like to get Hornady under this roof.
Okay.
That we can actually, this is my big push. I don't know what it's going to take or when it's going to happen, but we want to get an actual relationship direct with Hornady so that Michael's not trying to supply everything through wholesalers.
Yeah.
Once we do get that relationship, we're going to be able to give some better prices on that stuff too, which is, that's the other thing, we try to make it affordable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things from day one that I've been impressed with is, you guys were in, what was that shop over there?
The strip mall,
yeah.
grand,
Probably 1,000 square feet total?
2,400.
2,400?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the sales floor was probably like 500.
Oh, even we were bumping elbows here.
It felt like a closet compared to what
Right.
we got here.
Actually,
yeah.
I think the sales floor was smaller than this office.
It was.
Square foot wise, yeah.
And, from the first day I walked in there, the pricing is amazing. So, and I'm not saying that just because I'm sitting here with you guys. You can go ahead and you can compare your pricing to a lot of the other sites, and it's very comparable, especially considering, you don't have the volume of, say, a Brownells or a Midway.
But we do have an amazing advantage in the fact that Lead Precision is just a little over 2 miles away.
Right.
And Mech is 25 miles away.
Yep.
So, we're not shipping stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, and the other advantage is you have a solid relationship with Lee. So, like when they launched their new turret press, they had a back order on them,
Yes.
but you didn't have that same problem.
No.
So, and that's been a couple of other things that they've launched that you haven't had that problem because you're right here, and they supply you with one of the first, deliveries. So that's
Right.
kind of the nice thing there. So that's an advantage. So
Well,
Excuse me,
we-
Mike. Excuse me, Mike.
Yeah.
You're bouncing the table. You're jittering the camera.
we're in California.
No, we are not in California.
That ain't even funny.
Jason, did you find that funny?
I've never felt an earthquake, Mike, so I was thinking you're making me seasick.
So sorry about that, folks. I figured I'd just match the video from earlier with my shake.
Right.
I'm used to my bench at home, which I've got it on a tripod and it's pretty solid, so I bump it, it doesn't bother. So
Yeah, this isn't braced into anything. It's just
no. Well, that's not a solid mount on top of the laptop either, so
that's fair.
So hosts, do you have any questions? Don't everybody speak at once?
Most popular press.
The most popular press lately. So the 750 has been incredibly popular. Obviously, Dylan just came out with the 750. Anyone who's not paying attention, that press, it's the most popular press right now, especially because we have the Dylan Day sale right now, which is a little extra savings on the sales of the press. You have to go on the website and go through the coupon system, which it's all spelled out on the website if you're interested in looking at the Dylan or Mech products, because both of them have their own kind of sales going on right now that way. But yeah, the 750 is probably the most popular press for the past month. Obviously came out early August, so can't go back that far in history. 650 before that, incredibly popular. Obviously, it's the predecessor to the 750. Lee, the Breech Lock Pro has been quite a popular press. As far as their progressives go, it is probably one of my more favorite progressives from Lee, just because it's really simple and easy to set up. There really isn't a whole lot of trying to monkey around and getting everything working. It's almost too simple that way. A little bit more manual with the safety prime, but that's about it on that press. But those would probably be the main.
It kind of changes too, because there for a while, the classic cast turret press, we couldn't keep them in stock. And now we're lucky we sell, they just sit. And I don't understand it, because to me, that's what I use for all my rifle rounds.
Yeah.
That's my favorite press of all. On my pistol, I do in a Loadmaster. So
Yeah, the kits, I mean, we would get like 30 of those at a crack, and then a week later, they'd all be gone. So yeah, the classic cast kit used to be incredibly popular.
I don't know if somebody else is selling all of them now, or if they just kind of fall off the radar screen. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm a bullet caster. Jason's a bullet caster. Tell us a little bit about your casting equipment. That's one thing that didn't get talked about too much tonight.
Well, we've got a whole gamut of Lee molds. Everything Lee makes, we've got in stock, and all their melters. That's basically what we use, are the Lee melters. You've got your 20-pound with the valve. You got a 10-pound with a valve. You can ladle versions, the Magnum pots.
Yeah, and then obviously, because we carry Redding, we can get any of their molds. It's just not something we typically carry. As far as the molds go, the Lee are far more popular than the Redding, and it has a lot to do with price. I mean, a double cabinet mold for $20 is going to be, how much you're paying for any of the other brands. I mean,
I'm fully aware of it.
A Redding mold, we can get that for them. Sure.
Wow.
Yep. No, I've been in the Redding plant, and the Redding equipment is still very, very fine, still being made. I've got a Seiko 5 cavity mold for 357. That's one of my favorite molds. It's 210 grain truncated cone for 357.
Oh, I'm not trying to say anything
No.
negative.
I'm not inferring you to are, sir. I'm just
and no, Redding products are absolutely phenomenal as far as just the quality craftsmanship that goes into it. I mean,
yes, sir.
you can look it over for surface rust when you buy. You ain't gonna find nothing. You'd be lucky if you find machine marks on some of their presses. It is ridiculous the attention to detail that goes into those. Absolutely phenomenal.
But anyway, I was going to say I'm one of your customers, believe it or not. I've ordered I don't know how many sprue plates, my 6 cavity molds that I've managed to bugger up somehow or another, or warp.
Yeah, we keep them in stock, all right.
I know. Thank you very much for doing that too.
You're welcome. We'll
We
always have those
also
for you.
we also started the phase of getting the blank bullet molds. Before I started in this business, they didn't have blanks, and now you can buy blanks and put your own cavities in there.
Ah,
Nice.
6 cavity and 2 cavity.
Nice. So you said that the 750s kind of 650 and the 750 have kind of been the popular press. Do you sell a lot of 1050s?
Not a lot of them, and we don't stock them at all. These are purely on a pre-order.
Yeah.
And we've sold 2 recently in the States, and we sold 2 to guys in Brazil.
Okay.
So it's a pricey press.
Right.
You're almost, $1,800 or almost $1,900 for it.
Yeah. And for most reloaders, it is overkill
Mhm.
as far as the press goes. I was just talking to a gentleman about that earlier because he was asking about the 750. Well, if he's going to put all this stuff on it, shouldn't he just get the Super 1050? And it's one of those things. Well, 750 lifetime warranty, no questions asked. Phenomenal to deal with Dylan as far as the warranty goes on that. 1050, you got a year. After that year, it's no longer covered by warranty. So if you have to fix anything on it, you're on your own. And it's because a lot of people use that press for manufacturing and producing, hundreds of thousands of rounds in a month. So Dylan, it would just be unreasonable to expect that they keep those things alive for forever, basically. But no, the 750, yeah, fantastic. 1050, again, very price prohibitive as far as that goes. But it's a nice press.
Yeah.
How quick are you guys on shipping?
If everything is in stock and you place the order before noon, 99% of the time we'll get it out same day.
That's one of the things we really pride ourselves on is that service and support second to none in our processing, our shipping processing and everything. Those guys really get her done.
you said it's family owned, family operated. How many folks do you have working there?
Right now, there's 4 of us with one of our daughters part-time, which would make that 5. Well, back when we were busy, I also had another son and his fiance. So at that time, we were a full crew. But as things slowed down, we had to cut back, and we're down to the 4 of us full-time. And then my one daughter is still part-time. She comes in a couple days a week.
So for those who
When did the slowdown happen? What do you think was going on with the slowdown?
What I think is going on, first of all, I think people took a sigh of relief when Obama wasn't no longer in there rattling swords and making all this racket. And then I don't know if whatever happened with the federal agencies buying up all that ammunition, but that was the one thing that really skyrocketed our business. I mean, I remember I waited over a year just to get 40 Smith & Wesson bullets and 180 grain for crying out loud. And I'm in business of selling these things. But once that lifted, not sure how that exactly lifted, things have kind of settled down and Americans aren't panicked at the moment.
Okay.
Although it could get that way again soon.
Any minute it could happen. It can just happen.
I hate it so much that I'm not going to hope it happens for the sake of our business. It's just not right. Americans should not be afraid of something like this.
Yeah.
It's just wrong.
I agree.
We all agree.
Got us bounced off of Facebook. We were a very pro Second Amendment website. And I managed to put up on there everything that was going on out there. And I guess I was too loud of a horn.
You're in fairly good company then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been bounced around on Facebook a few times, haven't we, Jason?
We sure have.
Oh yeah.
Trying to look in the YouTube chat to see if we got any questions. But it looks like you guys are answering them right as we go along.
They're being quiet tonight. They're usually pretty frisky.
Yeah, I've got the questions up on my phone, or the chat up on my phone, so I'm just paying attention to that. Because I didn't want to bog the computer down. So, well, gang, this is gonna be kind of a shorter show, obviously, because these gentlemen were nice enough to stay later, so we can
Oh, no problem.
come out and tour and get the backstory on Titan. Definitely one of my favorite places to stop. The nicest thing I like about the new location, it's right on the main drag. So as you come, it's on 60 right as you come in. If you're coming from the west, if you're coming from the east, like Slinger or in that area, or 41, then you got to drive through Hartford. But it's a nice drive. Don't speed. The Hartford police love to
Watch 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said all along, so yeah. I found Titan originally because my dad's lived out here for about 10 years now. And he's kind of one of the people that got me into reloading, at least shot shell. And so he told me about it shortly after they opened the strip mall. So
Yeah, that's where we met.
yeah.
You said you ran a reloading podcast. I mean, what's a podcast?
I
didn't even
Yeah.
know what a podcast.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. So, but it's, when I was at NRA last year, not this year, but last year, I was going around and talking to some of the newer vendors that were there, and there was quite a few people that, we do a podcast. Like, what's that? So I just started saying it's an internet radio kit.
There you go.
Radio pod.
Sure.
Yeah, well, I don't
Podcast.
think podcasts really started picking up until like 10 years ago, I don't
Yeah.
think. So that would have been about 8 or so years ago. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roughly.
So I know Hornady is next. Anything else down the road? Or are you going to kind of let that, once you get that done, kind of sit for a bit and see?
We're going to try to, I would say across the board, increase our offerings.
Yeah.
We just, as a matter of fact, we just picked up a relationship with Inline Fabrication now.
Nice.
So we're going to start carrying the lighting systems, the roller handles, and
Mhm.
so forth. So if anybody wants anything like that, shoot us an email because I can order any of that now.
That's dangerous.
But we're just going to get started.
Yeah, and of course, continuing to expand on what we already carry.
Right.
Getting more of the Dylan products available in stock, not something that has to be special ordered.
Right.
Some of the more common Redding items.
Yeah.
I mean, Redding has a huge catalog, so trying to carry all of that would be nearly impossible.
Yeah.
But at the very least, have a wider selection than what we got, and carry a lot of the smaller items that you need. Just going like the bushings for the S dies and stuff
Right.
like that, which we have a pretty decent selection on currently, but work can always be done.
Well, our
Yeah.
supply chain is real good with Lee and Mac, but it's also real good with Redding and Dillon.
Yeah.
We're looking at a 7-day ETA. And unless it's not in stock there, but this stuff comes in regular. So
That's good to hear.
give me the number out of the catalog and I'll get you what you need, get you what you want.
Yeah, product numbers are nice.
Mm.
Very, very helpful in finding what you're looking for.
Now, here's a kind of a subjective question. Do you find that the majority of your customers are kind of old hand reloaders, or do you get a lot of calls from people who desperately want to get into the hobby and have no earthly idea what they're doing?
Well, that depends. If they're calling to place a phone order, they're probably 55 or older, which we have a lot of guys that call in phone orders. No problem with that. Absolutely enjoy talking to those guys because you hear a lot of stories from that. But there's a pretty fair amount of guys that you talk to that are looking at getting into reloading, and they'll have the common questions, like what's better, the Dylan or the Hornady, lock and load versus the 750 and stuff like that. So I would say probably more phone orders than guys looking at getting into it. But I mean, if there was like a split, it's got to be somewhere between like 40-60. So
Okay.
Well, I field many emails, guys that want to get started and this is what I want to reload and everything. Give me a list. And I'll send them the entire list of all the stuff that they need to get her going.
So I know
Sorry
we're
about that.
on 4, and you guys said that you did some videos at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you're looking at getting back into, maybe?
it is. Yeah, it is a part of the plan
Okay.
to get some more videos on YouTube. At the time, I had put out videos for the Loadmaster
Right.
covering like the primer feed system, the indexing, the operations of the Loadmaster. Just a lot of videos about that because a lot of questions and stuff about the Loadmaster. And then the Breachlock Pro came out, and I had put out some videos about the Breachlock Pro as well. And then I had read that YouTube was going to start restricting videos that had to deal with guns or the manufacture of ammunition. And I was like, well, I'm not going to keep making videos
Right.
if they're going to go through and take away all the videos. But every once in a while, there will be somebody that subscribes to the Titan Reloading channel, or somebody will put a comment in the video. So they're still there, apparently. So we're probably putting out for those.
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
Way to go, Phil.
But yeah, so that's something that we're going to start working on.
Okay.
Don't have an exact timeline as to when the next video is going to come out, or even what it's going to be about. Though we have a couple ideas. There's a gentleman that makes an easy dial for the 650, the Dillon powder measures,
right?
Which allows you to put a micrometer on the powder measure rather than just having that nut there that you're kind of taking wild guesses at. That's one thing that we thought about putting a video up on. And then one of our comments was actually asking about setting up the bullet feed system, which would probably be a pretty good idea because the Lee one isn't exactly
user friendly.
I don't know if I wouldn't say that, but it's not one that you look up that you look at and be like, yeah, this makes total sense to me. It's one that you kind of have to work with it. And
yeah, once you get it set up and running,
I love that
fabulous.
Bullet feeder.
I'm actually gonna put that on I'm gonna actually get one and modify it to put on my lock and load.
The very nice thing about that is that it uses a seating die.
Yeah.
It'll actually seat your bullet, and then you can still crimp afterwards. You get the Mr. Bullet feed, you got to get a seating crimping die.
Yeah.
Which is
on Lee. Yeah, if you use it on Lee press.
Yeah. So I've got a couple options for you for videos.
Videos? Okay.
We post this on YouTube, but we also simul post it on Gunstreamer. And then more importantly, the Reloaders Network.
Okay.
Loads of Bacon, who's a YouTuber, actually created his own entire network. They've got host video, do live chats. You can do articles and stuff. Be a good place to put your monthly email.
Yep.
You could put that there too. So.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to look into it as far as places to put it, because that's what stopped the YouTube videos.
Right.
And can you import from, say, YouTube videos into that site too?
Yes, you can.
Well, I still have all the
mean.
files saved on my computer.
But I mean, are you going to be able to cross?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got a one of the recent updates he did actually just makes it amazing. You can literally just import the video right in. So, and then once you import it in, it's on their servers, and you don't have to worry about it no matter what YouTube does.
All right.
Send me that link.
I will. Actually, I'll have him get a hold of you.
Oh, great.
So,
yeah, just make sure if you watch the YouTube videos that you're prepared for me to say 1,000 times.
I do that quite a bit.
Apparently, when I stand in front of that camera, I just can't help it.
Well, I'm just glad nothing slipped out of my mouth tonight, because I noticed we don't have a beeper button here for a 7-second delay.
On the YouTube, we don't really worry about it, and then that's what editing's for. So, all right. So, they want to know, what are you looking at? Are you looking at getting into some of the higher end scales and stuff like that? Or
You mean like the Prometheus scale, or
Yeah, maybe the Prometheus or some of the other ones. Anything like any forays into that at all? Obviously, it's with the outlay of cost, it's probably not something you're going to stock. But
Yeah. It would. I'd have to look and see if it's something we could even carry.
Okay.
Because some of the people that make the higher end stuff like that, it's not like they sell it to a whole bunch of
Right.
retailers, so it's kind of limited as far as that goes. We'd have to reach out and see, and then obviously there's going to be how much they would sell it for, and would we be competitive? Because if like one of the things if we can't, why we don't carry RCDS products, for example, is Midway always has those things on for sale for
Right.
less than we buy them at.
Yeah.
And there's just no reason to carry a product that we
Exactly.
can't compete at all. Yeah, exact question's been asked in the store a lot. Why don't you have RCDS? Well,
Yeah, that's kind of the common thing. And if it's not Midway, then it's somebody else,
mhm,
because they don't really. I've noticed with RCVS, they don't seem to have a serious
direct.
Not only that, they don't seem to really care what you're selling them for. They don't seem to monitor like some of the
Yeah.
No map pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally no map pricing, it seems like anything. Whereas most of the other ones, there is a map and you need to stick to it. So, but anything else you gentlemen would like to share before we head out?
Just a hearty welcome. Come on down and check us out.
So what are your actual store hours?
9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday it's 9 to 4.
Okay. So, and I'll in the show notes, I'll actually put the address and everything. Not only the web address, but the physical address, and then I'll put a link to your YouTube videos also.
Yeah.
So that'll go out with all the show notes and everything to all the audio podcasts. So
Awesome.
all right. Well, want to take time to thank everybody who joined us for the live chat and asked us some good questions. Want to take time to thank everybody who supports the show. And on that note, keep your brat shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
Buy it cheap and stack it deep. Never know when there's a rainy day coming.
Take someone shooting and reload your ammo.
Thanks, everyone.